Hello, good evening.
Yeah, hello, good evening, sir. Good evening, everyone.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir. Good evening.
Good evening. So, who is there from your team? Bhupen?
So Bhupendra and me will
Okay,
only
okay,
presenting.
okay. And Bhargavi for which team?
Yes, she's from Group 4.
Okay, okay, okay. Okay, so let's wait couple of minutes, then we can start. Okay. Yes, we can start it now. Thank you.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. I'll just start sharing my screen. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Today we are going to go over how Cloud Code skills will help us in our development and how it will help us in writing code and different skills that we can have as a developer, what we want to do, how it will help us. So before that, we'll just have quickly an overview of what AI ML is. So when you say artificial intelligence, intelligence that is not, it's not human. Okay, so it is by computers. So that is artificial intelligence. Whereas machine learning is where machines are, fed a lot of data and then they learn based on examples so that they can understand, okay, this is an image of a dog or a cat and so on and so forth. And beyond that also nowadays, AI has become so powerful that, we have something called large language models. So they all are trained on huge amount of data, code and images, and they understand and they respond. So we have seen like ChatGPT and all use our LLMs. So when you say ML, so what are the key characteristic is, if you give a large amount of data, it can spot a pattern. Okay. So there's no handwritten rule. It can find out the pattern and then it can give it back to us. See, this is the pattern which is there. As you give more and more data to train, it becomes better over time. Nowadays, it is used almost everywhere, like, diagnosing diseases in healthcare. Like, for cancer, you have some scans and all, it can find out whether it's, cancer related, or some, images you give, it can do that. Even in banking and all frauds, like credit card frauds and all, it can detect. And now it has moved on so much that even writing and reviewing code in software development is being done. So most of the common AI ML applications, like we have seen chatbots and virtual assistant. You go to a bank or something like that, there'll be a chatbot which will help you in certain questions. It can't do too much, but only certain. It can be voice or it can just be text-based. Then recommendation and all, you go to Netflix or Amazon, you purchase something and say, why didn't you try something else? This is also will be good. Or you go to Netflix, you watch a movie, it says based on what you watched, you can watch something else also. Image recognition is used everywhere, like face recognition, like you show a cat or a dog, it can recognize it's a cat or a dog, or any other images that you give, medical conditions and all from photos, it can do that. So these are all different types which are there. Fraud detection, like I mentioned earlier, that is there. And of course, code generation, which is there. So now in modern AI models, we have Claude, GPT-4, that is by OpenAI, and then Gemini is by Google. These are the modern AI models which are there. So, but then the models every model is not for everything. You have different models for different use cases. So all models don't fit for everything. So different models you have for text, image, audio, code, everything. The models are fine-tuned specifically for that requirement, and then that's how they work. So let's just look at an overview. Like for language models, like, chatting, writing and all, you have two types. Proprietary, where you pay for it. You have a plan and all, you pay for it. Or open source. Open source is free, but mostly you may have to deploy it in your machine and then you can do it. So for vision, you have different models which are there. For speech, you have different. For coding, you have different. So which we are going to see today. Claude Code is one of them, which is paid. And then if you want open source, it's Llama is there. Code Llama is also there. Recommendation also, you have different models which are there. Now, as we are going forward, like earlier it was for other areas. Now developer focused AI tools have come up. Some of the popular tools which are there is Cursor, Claude Code, which we are using, Gemini Code Assist, and GitHub Copilot. So what happens in developer focused AI tool capabilities is, what does it do? It helps in generating the code. So you just have to mention, I want something like this, and it will generate the code for you. If there is any error or something, or you want to change the code to something else, it will refactor it for you. It will clean up the code also for you. Any kind of debugging, it will find out. If suppose you missed a semicolon, it will find it, will spot it. Okay, this is what the error is. We'll do the debugging. It can, nowadays it has become so advanced, it will run on the terminal also, it can run commands, it will execute it in the developer environment. It can understand large code base. If you're a new person who's just joined a company, you may not know what the code base is all about with so many repos and all, whereas it can make sense and it will guide you. And then automating workflows. So repetitive tasks you don't want to do every day, so you can focus, developers can focus on higher problems. So repetitive tasks can be done. So the capability has shifted from earlier what it was, just being an assistant and answering question. Now it has become like, like a development partner. So how are these the developer models trained? So because it is specific for development, they are trained on data. From what are the data comes from public code repositories. There are millions of real world projects in GitHub. So they're trained on that. They're trained on programming documentation. Suppose if I want Terraform, so Terraform official guides or references are there. It is trained on that. Technical forums in QA, any kind of bug issues or anything debugging you want to do, all these sites which are earlier there for Stack Overflow, they've been trained on that so that they can find the answer and quickly give you, this is what is there and you can fix it this way. Software architecture examples like design and patterns which are there, that also they are trained on that. And of course, DevOps workflow is also there. You have scripts, pipelines, all these things which are used in modern development, everything these developer models are trained in. So now coming to our assignment. So the assignment is Ultimate Agentic DevOps with Claude. This is we have already forked it yesterday and we have cloned it. So it is just a static website. It has got index, privacy, style.css, terms.html, and images, and readme.md. So this is a plain vanilla static website. So now what we are going to do is you want to run Claude code in it. So what do we need? Extra so that Claude can run properly. So for that, first is the project files, okay, that we already know. That is a source code files, documentation file, configuration files. Now, apart from that, you need Claude specific files. There are one is the Claude.md file. So this stays in your root directory, okay, which is along with your readme.md. It will be there. So it will tell the background about the project. So how every time Claude starts, it will read this file and you'll know what the project is all about. Then you have something called skills. So skills will come under, you have to create a .claude, and then under that skills, and then any one more directory, whatever you want it to execute a task or command, you'll create that directory. Under that, you will have your files, that is skill.md, which will actually tell what Claude is supposed to do for different commands. Okay, together all this is required so that Claude gets the context as to what it has to do, what tools it can use, and it will really become useful. So why do you need Claude.md? So Claude.md is the main file. It gives proper context to the AI so that it knows what the problem we are solving. So then it will not edit the wrong files. It will not break the project structure. So this gives you that. So it will help Claude in understanding what the project rules are, what the development patterns are, how you can avoid risky actions, like some sensitive files are there, or maybe some destructive operations are there. If you specify all should not be done, based on that, it will avoid all that. So general AI will not be able to do that, but going through this Claude code, you can specify the rules and it will follow them. Okay, there'll be a context associated also with it so that you can work safely and consistently. So what goes inside a Claude MD file? So you have to specify different sections. So one is the project overview. So what is the project all about? What it does? So that Claude can get a big picture about the whole project. And what coding standards are you following? What naming conventions you are following? Any other formatting that you're following, or what libraries or frameworks you're using. So all this has to be specified. Any kind of repository guidelines you have, how the code base has to be organized, how the branching has to be done, all this also will be specified. And this is all at the project level, it's a high level. Then how the developer workflow is going to be. How will the Claude follow them and make the changes which is required? When will it run the tests which are required? And how will it build the project? All this again will be given in Claude.md. Then what are the safety constraints? These are guardrails that you have to specify so that it won't delete critical files. It won't modify any production config files, or it will not, skip any tests. So all these clear boundaries you have to specify. Only when you do all this, then Claude can really work well. And it knows that these are the boundaries and these are the things I have to follow, rules that I have to follow. Now, simple analogy is readme.md is for human developer. So when a developer joins a new team, he generally reads the readme. If a repo is given, he'll read the file and he'll understand what the project is all about. In the same way, Claude.md is something given to Claude code so that it can understand, it will read the file and you'll understand, okay, these are the rules, these are the structures, and this is how I can work without causing any problem. So what are skills in Claude? So we saw Claude.md, which gives the overview over the projects at the high level or the project level. Now there's something called skills. So a skill is in Claude Code is a saved reusable instruction. That means it's a file which you save with instructions, and then it is reusable because it's always there, and Claude will keep reading it and then performing a specific task. So if I want to make a directory, there'll be one file, maybe one file, just as an example. This is a very small example. So it knows that using this skill, I know I can make a directory. Of course, you'll have more instructions in it, not just one single. So instead of, if I have to explain the same task repeatedly, I may explain it differently at different times. But then if it is there in this file, it is, once as a skill you have it, you can reuse it whenever you need it across the entire project. Okay, so a few of the examples of deploying the application. So every code change happens, you have to deploy the application. So it's steps for running, steps needed to push the code to server will be there. Maybe one is running tests. So, test suite you want to run and reporting the results. That could be one skill which is there, you want to run. Formatting the code, maybe the code project should follow a particular style. So that formatting can be done every time the code is checked, and you can just see to Claude will see to that the formatting is correct. If you want to query any APIs or make a request to external services also, that it will take care. And executing scripts, that is on the developer machine you want to run, or execute any automation or build scripts, that will also be done in the terminal. So skills allow Claude to go beyond just talking about code and start doing real work. Sometimes you might have seen maybe in any of the GPTs that you use that it generates the code, but it says, I'm sorry, but I cannot execute this code for you. Okay. So this does that. It goes beyond just generating the code. It will do the actual work for you. So you can concentrate only on the better jobs which are there. Okay, so how is the structure of a Claude code skill.md file? So the skill file is written in Markdown. Markdown is MD5. Okay. It starts with the front matter block. Front matter is nothing but those three dashes which you see. Out here, if you see those three dashes which are there, it is those lines. So it starts and ends in that. So that is the front marker. So you start with 3 dots. Then you give a name to your skill, whatever action it's going to do. You give a description. It can be detailed description, what it is going to do, when it will be triggered, all this information you give. Then allowed tools. What tools are allowed that Claude can use? So only those tools it will use. If you say read, it will only read. You'll say read and write, it will read, write, and so on. Disable model invocation. That is run as a pure script, no extra AI calls. That means you just want to create a directory create some files. You don't need to make calls to AI. So this is true or false. Based on that, it will just run as a plain script. Then argument hint is what argument will be passed. So now I have a skills file and I want to run it, but I want to pass some arguments. Every time my argument might change. Maybe it's an environment, it's a production environment or dev environment or something else. File name. So if it changes, then I can specify what arguments can be passed. Then you close it again with these 3 dots. After that comes your body. Body is where the actual instruction is given to Claude, and Claude will follow it when the skill is triggered. So what to do, how to do, and what to produce. All this is mentioned in this skill.md file. So now how is an example? I'm referring to the skill.md for the scaffold Terraform skill. So within that directory, you already have, I'll mention how the directory structure to be later on. So you have that skill.md. Within that, you'll start with these three dashes. Then you'll say name is scaffold Terraform. That is, you want to generate a Terraform structure. And then description is generate complete Terraform infrastructure. And then you mentioned details, it is for S3 because Terraform infrastructure can be for anything, maybe for EC2 or RDS also. So you mentioned it is for S3 with CloudFront and it's a static site hosting and so on and so forth. You give all the information here. What tools are allowed? That is bash is allowed. So execution of script, read, write, grep and glob is where you want some pattern matching and all that is also can be used. So you mentioned these tools here. After that, disable model invocation is true. That means you don't want any extra AI calls to be made. Whatever is there will be used. Okay. Then argument hit. Argument hit is what parameters arguments can I pass? Maybe for this particular example, we are passing AWS region and project name. If you don't pass these true, it'll give an error. Or if it default values you have specified, then it's fine. It will not give an error. Otherwise, if you don't want, like for dev environment, maybe it's in a different region where your staging is a different region or prod is in different region, you can specify the region according to that. Then comes your actual body, which is it generates a complete Terraform configuration for deploying static using S3 and CloudFront, and you can give all instructions. So this instruction, what it does, it allows Cloud Code to decide when and how to use a skill during a workflow. So this you have specified. This is the base skeleton of a skill.md5. Okay. Yeah. So now you have done all this, but still it is not like, you leave everything to Claude. You need some security constraints. So when an AI like Claude moves beyond just answering, it is doing action. When it's actually running commands, editing files, and calling APIs, you have to give it least privilege. Okay, like you follow with your AWS, users and all. Security is very essential. So chatbot will only produce text for you, whereas this is actually working in your development environment. So you have to be, as a developer, you have to be aware and you have to be vigilant. You have to take care that it does only what is required, not more or not less. Okay. So that is very important. So what are your key concerns and what is the best practice that you'll follow? So the key concern for any organization will unauthorized command execution. So you run something on the terminal and it kind of deletes most of all the files. So, or, it is approved by some developer. So you don't want that to happen. Access to sensitive files. So like some API keys or some database username, password, all these are sensitive information. You don't want like Claude is reading and modifying it randomly. So it should not be, it should not happen. So for that, this is again a concern for organizations. The API key exposure, like it said, secret key. So you check into your GitHub, the whole world can see what your API key is. They may use it. And then malicious prompts. Okay, prompts which are purposely crafted, so it makes it harmful. So all these things are the key concerns when you're using such an AI tool, right? So for that, the best practice will be what? Restrict permission. So don't allow the tool to do anything and everything. So you limit what Claude can access and do. So you make use of the allowed tools in the skill file and say only you can do this, this, and this only. Then validate skill input. Check that any argument parts to a skill are safe and expected before acting on them. So you have to validate what input parameters is going in or any other input values are going in. Log AI action. So logging is very important. Even here we have to take care that logging happens so that anything, a mistake happens, you can trace it back. So that is very important. And the last is limit action to access to production. So it should work in development or staging, but directly you don't run it on production. Okay. So for that also you need some people approving, then only maybe you can run it on production, but not directly. So these are the key concerns and best practice that you should follow. Then human in the loop. So you cannot say now that AI is doing everything, why should I bother? I'll just write some scripts and tell it, okay, do this, do this, do this. No, you need human in the loop. Because why? Human in the loop means there's a real person. He knows the environment. He knows what he's doing. You need somebody who's reviewing, somebody who will do the approving and monitoring of what the AI does. Otherwise, it may do something. I think recently somebody had posted something on some tool like this, so he brought down the production environment or something like that, and they went back to backup, to restore everything. So that thing should not happen. So reviewing, any code which is generated, you have to review it. Like normally you write a code and then peer review happens. In the same way, you will review the code generated by AI. Okay. approving the deployments, human has to be in between to sign off. You cannot just directly push it from dev to stage and stage to prod. So you need approvals, okay? You need validating any infrastructure changes has to be validated, has to be reviewed. So what changes are happening on the server, database, and so on and so forth. And monitoring. You need to monitor. So whatever is done by the AI-driven process, you have to check what is happening. So that if anything is gone wrong, if anything is incorrect, you can catch it early. Okay. So AI handles the heavy lifting, but human remain responsible for the final part. So this way, the tool is powerful, but it helps you, but then you have to be in control. That is the main thing of human in the loop. So now we are coming to demo time. Any questions so far?
We will take question at last. Okay.
Okay, fine. Okay. Okay. So this is the, wait, let me hide this. Okay, this is this assignment which is there. I've opened it here. Let me zoom it. Yeah. So for this assignment, the task 1 is explain why skills exist. So this is more of a text-based thing. So you have to write why, in your own words, you have to write why generic LLM is not enough for DevOps workflow. What problem happens without skills? How skills turn the same LLM into a specialist? And why this matters for repeatable technical work. So these are some questions which you have to, if you've gone through the course, then you would understand. So generic LLM, we already talked, it doesn't do much, it can't do execution, okay? Whereas your skills will help you in doing the execution also, okay? Without skills, it can do anything. It can just change any file, delete any directory, or not follow any rules. So skills is required. And skills turn the same LLM into a specialist. So when you have skills, it becomes a specialist, maybe a DevOps specialist, maybe a Terraform specialist, whatever it is, it becomes a specialist. And also repeatable technical work. So once you have set one skill, even if you as a developer are no longer in the organization, another person can come and they can run the same thing because everything is defined in the file. Okay. So I'll just share, a little bit about what you should actually, yeah. So this is what it is. So this is how you'll write. So okay, this starting is what did I do? So every task you have to write, what did I, sorry, it's gone to task 2, sorry. I am going to go to task 1. Yeah. Explain why skill sets exist. Okay. Before that, what did you do? I went through, you all have gone through the Udemy section. Okay, you understood why they exist and all, how they work, what is description, all this is just a pre thing that you do. What did you do and what did you learn? You will mention. There's no issues out here because you're just going through the videos. Now in your own words, this is what you have to write. This is what I have written. This is something which you will have to create and you will have to write. Okay. So this is the first one, this task 1. And they've asked screenshots. So the same screenshot from there, I've pasted it here. Okay. Then comes task 2. The explain Claude.md versus skills.md. We already went through this. What Claude.md is at the project level, skills at the task level. Every task you'll have some skill or the other. So we have seen that difference also. Okay. So this is what it does, compare Claude and skill. So when they load, so loaded at the start of every session, this is loaded only when a specific task or skill is triggered. So this is something again you have to write because based on your knowledge, what you understood. So what does this give? Project overview, coding standard and all that. Skills gives step-by-step instruction. This is at the project level. This is at the step-by-step instruction it will give. When what is the scope? Everything across the entire project. Claude MD is across the project, whereas this is only for the specific skill that you design. And then where does it exist? It exists one per project, whereas many can be there, not just one, many can exist. Okay, this is task 2. And then you have further also Okay, Claude MD tells agent who is working with who it is working with skills. Tell the agent what to do right now. Explain this sentence in your own words. So this is something which you have to write. Okay. Then this is, they want it in a tabular format. The same thing, I've kept it in a table format, written explanation, when they are loaded, what they contain, scope of the influence, how many can exist. So which we have always already seen, one per project, many per project. Okay. Then comes your task 3. Task 3 is you want to create a draft of one real DevOps skill. So here I created a security audit. And then I'll go to the actual demo where I've done it. I'll show it to you. Okay, security audit for this static website is like, no API keys are there and no password is there. Some of the things you need HTTP request. Instead of HTTP, it should all be HTTPS. So I'll share with you what I have done. Okay, this is the audit file. So you have to, again, need not be security audit. You can take up any other task also. See out here, sorry, my bad. So this is task 3. So it can be TF, plan, deploy, any of this you can take. Okay. And then you have to write your skill name is what, description, allow tools, the whole thing you have to write in this way, and the body instruction, and then the screenshot. Okay. Now I'll show you the actual code which is there. Okay. Out here, as you know, you need you'll come to know Claude. Under that .Claude and then skills directory, I have created a security audit. So I'll just increase the font size so you all can see it clearly. I'll bring this down. Yeah. So like I said, these 3 dashes, in between you will have the name, description, allowed tools, disable model invocation, argument hint. All this argument hint is I have to pass a directory for this. So now what is the actual task that it will do? First one, it scan all HTML, CSS, Java files. Any hard-coded API keys are there or password is there. Okay. It will do all that. Then it will go and check whether HTTP is there. HTTP is not allowed. It's insecure, right? So it should be HTTPS only. Then it will review JavaScript files for any sensitive logic is there, or anything is exposed of the front end, such as database credentials and all. Some of them may just put it in the JavaScript itself. So this is wrong, right? So it will check for that. So all these checks cannot be done manually, but then a tool can do it easily. Okay. .env file is not checked in, that we have to take care when you're deploying. It doesn't contain any password and other things. Secrets are not there. In the end, you're saying summarize all the findings. That means whatever you found, you summarize it. So this is what I did earlier. I first created a scaffolding. So the scaffolding I passed AP South 1 and Praveen Mishra DMI 18. So what it did, anyway, you don't have to do this. This is just for my practice. I did it. So it creates a directory, Terraform. Okay. After that, it created all these files which are there. Provider file is there, then variables file, then main.tf, okay, and output.tf, backend.tf, okay. It created all these files. In the end, it said scaffolding complete. Then it gave me a summary. What are the files it is created? What is the purpose of those files? Then resources to be provisioned. What are the resources which got provisioned? Will be provisioned. It's not yet provision. It's just created the code, right? And then what will be the next step? I have to either say TF plan, then it will actually execute the plan. But at this point, I'm not checking anything. I want to check if the files which have got created in the Terraform directory, whether I can run a security audit on them or not. I've given those points, 5 points I've given. So is it passing or is it failing? So all these checks, it will go through one after the other and it will give me whether it passed or failed. So now, sorry, yeah, let me go down. Yeah. So if I gave this Terraform as a directory, so you can see it created a Terraform directory for me out here. This is the Terraform. All these files are out here. So when I pass the Terraform file, directory, just a minute. Yeah. So it is saying, it is searching for 5 patterns from one file. Okay. So no secret or insecure links found in the static side. So it is giving me all the information. So it is giving me an audit report. What does it say? Hard-coded secret scan passed. There was no API or any AWS credential or anything. Nothing was found. Insecure link passed. There was no HTTP links found. Sensitive front-end logic not there. Okay, that also passed. Exposing config, the env files, no env, and all these files were not found at all. Then the last one is security, form security. There was no form only because it's just a static website, right? There's nothing to submit. So that also passed. But then even though all this passed, still it gave me Terraform specific findings it gave. First thing is there's no git ignore is not there. See, so these are all high severity. Then all these files exist, then it's a high risk because people will come to know, right? From my TF state and TF wares, what the infrastructure state and secrets are. So this is very important that I have this git ignore so that those things don't get uploaded to the repo. Then no CloudFront security headers were there. So that was found missing. So that's the medium, and it found it in which file, this particular file. Then the next one is S3 bucket server-side encryption was not there. So on and so forth. It found other security related things which I had not even thought of will, is important or, didn't realize it is there. So all this it found. Versioning was not enabled. So that is up to you whether you want to enable or not. But these few things are required. And then access logging, you should enable. No audit trail will be there, right? So that is required. All these other two things are also there. So it gave me a summary of these are the things you can look at. It gave me even the line number that you're supposed to look into. So it said, so the top fix before going live, do all these things. So if I say yes, apply all, it will apply all these changes to the Terraform files. Now going back to your course. So this is your task 3. Then comes your task 4. Again, this is to do with writing only. I'll say without skills, what will happen? With skills, how you type only this, then what explain what problems are there, how skills improve, all this thing. This I have 1 minute. Yeah. So this is the security audit thing. I pasted it here. Then you can also use any other thing you want. Then this is the screenshot for that. Then coming to task 4, again, what problem? Inconsistency, misstep, wasted time, no shared standard. So all these are the problems with long prompt approach. That means you give a long prompt, do this, run Terraform plan, check for error, summarize the change. If you give something a prompt like that, every time you may not remember to give the same prompt, right? Or different people will use different prompts. So that is a problem with that. Then consistency is not there. Same instructions are not given every time. Safety is again, because you're defining in skill tools allowed, safety is one factor. Speed is another. Okay. So that is again another one factor. Then team-wide standardization. So there's no your version, my version. Every team will follow the same thing because skills is one file which you're using for a particular task. So why is it helpful? So over casual chatting, it is really helpful because you build repetitive things in DevOps. Repetition is key, right? So when you use skills from a conversational tool, it becomes like a process. It behaves the same thing every time unless you change it. So that is the advantage. So give one real example. Already we have said security audit, how it runs, right? So that is the thing where it checks for HTTP and env files and all that. And screenshot. And this is what the screenshot is. Again, the same thing which was there. That's it. Anybody has any questions now? I think the next is that you can, demo time.
Yeah, Anuradha, you have made like easy for us, even though as a mentor, like to understand this lot. Thank you for this presentation.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, very well explained.
Yeah, any questions? Or are we waiting for people to join?
Yes, we will take question, but not right now. Just carry on in this segment. Okay. So lastly, we will take all questions from Zoom. We will invite them to join this and they can ask question, right? If they are serious and they are watching this, they will come and join and ask you question. Okay. If they are not serious, so don't have any problem. Okay. So let's proceed further. May know who is available from another group, Tanveer group, Partheus, right? Ashu.
Yeah, I'm going to do the demo, but before that, the short presentation will be done by Bhargavi and Pur.
Okay, Bhargavi, right?
Yes.
Okay, Bhargavi, please go ahead. Thank you.
Yeah, Purva is helping me to navigate the slides actually.
Okay.
So I'll ask her to.
Okay.
Yeah, please.
Purva, are you
Purva,
there?
can you share
Yes,
your screen?
I'll share my screen.
Yeah. Yeah. Hello. Hi. Good evening, everyone. This is Bhargavi from Team 4. I and my teammate Purva prepared slides for this presentation. So I'm walking you through the presentation, and Purva is been assisting me to navigating by the slides. So the demo is about skills in action. It's assignment 4. Purva, please go to the next slide. Yeah, I wanted to talk about before going to our task, I wanted to talk about the challenges in the before agentic AI DevOps. So in many software industries, people are facing many challenges while deploying the project. Developers often face problems like incorrect configurations, manual errors, and environment inconsistency. So this assignment explores how an automated pipeline uses 4 key skills: that scaffold, plan, apply, and deploy. And it can simplify the entire flow from project setup to deployment. Purva, next slide, please. Yeah. Before going to talk about today's task, I wanted to explain what is a pipeline. Actually, pipelines is a sequence of automated steps that transforms an idea into working like a working system. For example, instead of performing tasks manually, each stage of the pipeline has its own responsibility. For example, I can say like a build has its own responsibility, like a pipeline each stage, and cloning has its own responsibility, testing has its own responsibility, deployment has its own responsibility. Like in this assignment, the pipeline consists of 4 stages: that's scaffold, plan, apply, deploy. Next slide, please, Purva. Here, I'm going to tell you like how the generic CI/CD pipeline looks. Like if, for example, the developer develops the code and pushes into the GitHub repository. Once the developer pushes the code into the GitHub repository, as a DevOps engineers, we're going to configure the CI/CD tools like a Jenkins or GitHub Actions. In the Jenkins, we're going to configure again a build tools like a Maven or a Docker, going to convert our project into the Artifactory like AR or WAR file. Once the build is successful and converted into the Artifactory, then it goes to the next phase. That is the testing phase, like we can perform unit testing or integration testing. If the testing is success, then we're going to deploy the artifact, either a WAR or Docker image, into the QA environment. Once the QA environment is success, then we're going to deploy in the main site, that is main environment, that is called the production environment. Then it goes to the operational phase where the customers are going to operate. Then it's the monitor. Then again, it is we find some errors or bugs in while operating or monitoring. Then again, it's going to the development phase. Like it's a cycle actually. Purva, next slide, please. Here, I'm going to present like how the skills work actually. Like user is going to input, then cloud receives messages with the tools. Like if skills are exist in the tools, then cloud like reads skills tool description. Then skill tool description contains all available skills. Does user request matches skill? If it is yes, cloud invokes skill tool with the skill name. Then it validates skill exists or not. If it is exists, check the permissions. Then load skill prompt. Execute skills in new context. Return results to main conversation. Like for example, if the skills are not exist in available tools, then Claude uses other tools. And for example, if the skill is not matching with the Claude skills, then it handles directory or uses other tools. Next slide, please. Yeah, thank you. Now the task one, setting up the skill files here. Like the Claude is the main directory. Under the main directory or root directory, under the root directory, there is a skills directory. Inside the skills directory, we have a skills. They are scaffold Terraform, Terraform plan, Terraform apply, deploy. Next slide, please, Purva. Here, like setting up the skill files. How we are going to set up the skill files? Like why modularization matters? Modularization matters here is, suppose if I do some mistake on the specific skill, it doesn't affect to other skills actually. And the main is the security is the concern. The security is like each skill has its own permission scope. So it doesn't affect on other skill. So the predictability is like the AI activates a skill only when it is a folder name contains .md file specifically. So the folder name, see the main here the focus thing is like we need to concentrate about the naming convention. For example, /tf-plan. Then only it activates the skills. Purva, next slide, please. Yeah, this diagram represents to us like how the skills, the main 4 skills, these are the key skills like a scaffold, on what the scaffold does, and plan, what the plan does, and what the apply, and what does the apply does, and deploy, the final piece. Purva, next slide, please. Yes. Like we are understanding the 4 skills, what the scaffold does. The first skill is scaffold. Scaffold, what it does basically it generates the project structure. Like you can say it's a blueprint actually. It contains the project files, whatever the files is required to our projects. So it generates. Mainly, by using this, doing tasks like this, so it saves our time and maintains the consistency throughout our project. So this scaffolds needs write permission. Why do we need a read permission? Because it generates the project structure, because it creates the many files inside our project. Purva, next slide, please. Next skill is plan. Plan requires here the read permission only, because why means it just analyzes the structure which is created by the scaffold. So it just analyzes and checks the workflow, like it ensures that it has all required files or not, the files are in correct order or not. Purva, next slide, please. And the next skill is apply. What does apply do? Apply stays, executes the planned actions. So it applies configurations, scripts, and implements the logic defined in the planning skill. So what does it do? Actually, this is like a go button. It talks to AWS and says, just build the servers or create like something S3 bucket, whatever, like CloudFront. So it's under. Basically, the permission it requires is shell permission, because it's open the separate environment to do like an apply action. Purva, next slide, please. The next and the important phase, like a skill, is deploy. Final phase, but it's the important phase. The deploy stage publishes the final system. This stage ensures that the project become accessible to everyone. So, like it needs permission, like S3 sync and CloudFront access, especially. So we are going to deploy our site on live. Purva, next slide, please. This task is I'm talking about like running the full pipeline. Like the goal is here, like going from a blank screen to live website. Like how? After setting up, understanding the skills, I execute a full pipeline. Like this pipeline starts about the scaffold stage. Like a scaffold stage, like how it creates the project structure. Next plan stage, it's going to analyze the task, what are all the files or folders built by the scaffold skill. Then apply stage, it implemented like those steps, like doing an action wise. Like finally, the deploy stage completed the process and produced the final output. So like I just wanted to like relevant with like our day-to-day life, like how the cloud front does the magic. Like for example, in our day-to-day lives, like if suppose if I imagine like a pizza shop, like in one country if there is a pizza shop, we don't need to go to country and buy a pizza. Like it is available every country. So like the cloud front does the magic like that. Like for example, I had applied my website in one region, either in a US or Europe, UK region. So we don't need to go and access the website from that region. Like it's a cloud front is like a global CDN. It's a content delivery network. You can access from anywhere the website. So the content is going to store in edge locations. So that's what I related with the day-to-day life, our cloud front. So it's a conclusion. Like automation is like a force multiplier. How I can say is like you don't need to be expertise in everything. Uh, by using these four skills, we did the work of whole DevOps team in a minute. Obviously, AI can't replace human beings, but it just adds a power suit to humans actually. So this is the overview of this concludes overview and explanation of our demo. Now Pratish is going to explain the like a practical part of our demo. So it's hand over to Pratish now.
All right.
Thank you.
You can stop sharing. Okay. Let me share this screen.
Well done. Well explained.
Okay. Please confirm my screen is visible. All right. At first, shout out to Vargavi and Purva for such amazing presentation. So let me do the quick demo of the assignment 4 they just explained. So for the task 1, we need to prepare the skills folder under .cloud. And here in the resources section, Praveen sir already given us all the files required. You need to download it. And from there, you need to copy all those contents behind it and paste it inside those folder. So for the time saving purpose, I have already done all this. You can see inside in the .cloud under skills, we have the deploy skill.md file, the scaffold terraform file, the tf apply skill.md file, and tf plan skill.md file. And I have pasted all the contents from the documents from the resources which are given by Praveen sir. And also template specific file. It's specific to our project, that is static website deployment. Praveen sir already given that inside the resource. You can also check that and download it and paste the content. All right. After that, let me go. This is the marks the done of the task one. Okay. Under the tasks two, you need to write the short explanation for each skills, what each skills are doing. For example, scaffold Terraform is actually helping to generating the Terraform files. Terraform plan is helping to run and analysis of the Terraform files the scaffold Terraform has generated. And TF apply is actually helping to apply Terraform to create the actual resources. And deploy is we all know to deploy the final Terraform. We need to write all those very short explanation of every skills. And and to answer the why does scaffold Terraform need write and scaffold Terraform plan doesn't, because scaffold Terraform is basically generating the Terraform files, and for that it needs the write access. But to run and test the Terraform files, you don't need the write access. That's why it scaffold Terraform, though it allow tools, has the write access, but TF plan doesn't have the write access. All right. Now we'll just start deploying the pipeline. And I have at first you need to run the scaffold Terraform, and inside the AP South one or whatever the specific AWS region of your choice, and you need to give a name of the S3 bucket. And yeah, I just ran that command. At first you need to initialize the cloud using the cloud command itself. After that, you need to run slash scaffold Terraform AP South one portfolio set, and it will generate all the Terraform files here. You can say these are all the Terraform files. After that, we need to initialize the Terraform files. We can go to another terminal and go to cd Terraform and run the Terraform init. And it will take a 2-3 minutes time, and you can see that Terraform has been successfully initialized. Now next we are going to go back to the cloud, and we will run TF plan so that it will run and test the files, Terraform files it has generated. You can see this is the Terraform plan, and it will analyze the Terraform files it has generated. Let me run it and enter. All right. You can see it has actually run all the tests and planned what it will generate, where it will generate the S3 bucket name, S3 public access log. Everything is it has done. It has automated. Also done the risk analysis part as well. Now next we will actually apply all this using Terraform apply, and it will take a little bit time. It will create the actual resources inside AWS.
know how much time generally it takes?
Normally 5 to 7 minutes.
5 to 7 minutes.
All right. Looks like it took a little less time this time. That's good. Now I will deploy on this slash deploy. It will sync it with the S3 and invalidate the cloud front. Okay. It has generated the link. Let's copy it. Let me try to open it. Perfect. As you can see, it's generated the static S3 in minutes.
Perfect.
Really.
Perfect.
That's the power of agentic AI.
Great.
And we can exit. The class is done.
So, Pratyush, from your team, your group, have all completed this assignment?
I think no. I myself have done it today itself.
Because people are not watching videos, I mean, live YouTube. Even they're not asking how we can see, how we can join your Zoom meeting, all these things. So what we can understand.
Mm, See, maybe one of the problem which I think I faced is suppose we are doing the class on the Saturday, right? Now, from Saturday, I think we should give time till Thursday to all the people to complete the assignments. And because,
Thursday,
for
right?
example,
Thursday.
yes, because for many of
So,
people, including myself, I am
so for,
already
no,
learning
no,
it for the very
for
first time.
for your information, people have not submitted their assignment for week 6 till now. So how many Thursday have gone?
I understood. But yeah, some people who are active, for example, in my team, I can name some of the people like Arati, Sethi, they
In
are
your team,
consistently trying to doing. Yes.
do you know how many members have submitted in your group week 6?
I'm not sure with the whole group, but in from my team, everyone has submitted.
Okay,
excluding
I
one person, excluding one
okay,
person.
I saw a few days ago it was the lowest number among all group, and I thought it should be highest number, but it was lowest number, something around 17, 18. Maybe this time it increased.
Yeah, but I mean, we are trying our best. We are giving
Hmm.
all the demos links, and I literally personally message every person. For example, Ranveer actually divided our group into three teams, and we team leads actually personally message every person about the status of the assignment or if they are facing any issues. Sometimes they don't even reply. Sometimes they
So,
just saw message after 2 days. This
so as
type
it
of things happen.
as a team lead, what do you think? What is the problem? Is there a time problem or
I mean, if
assignment?
there is a
Assignment
time,
was very
see,
tough.
I myself is also a beginner. If there is time problem, I
Hmm.
can also not able to complete, right?
Hmm.
And yeah, but yeah, you can say one thing. Yes, some people have the families and jobs. They are doing all this. Maybe
And what is the
for them,
difficulty
it
level of this assignment? Is it too
like after
difficult?
after
I mean,
no after understanding, it's not.
okay. Because I think it's nothing right now. Okay, we have some big plan. I mean, very big plan. We have a final project in which there will be. I mean, it will take huge number of hours. So how you will proceed, I'm not sure. And how many members are there at that time, I am still doubt. But okay, let's see what we can do.
We can't do anything if some people are not active. There's no point of having them. But I believe that.
Yeah, initially it was 271, but as of now we have 220 around.
Yeah, you
And
have written.
yes, and I think it will be reduced further because if someone has missed already assignment for week 6,
Mm.
week 4, then how they will complete? I mean, we are in week 9 right now. If they have missed to submit, then they cannot submit right now. Okay, how they will submit
I
it?
mean, like some people actually don't want to put the hard work. For example, some people they literally ask me the silliest of the silliest doubts. I literally well documented everything, shared them the link. Some people who actually are capable enough, they actually did it. They took the help of AI and they actually done all the assignment. Whereas saw some of the peoples, they are literally asking me like the silliest doubts. For example, one of the configuration issues, or some example, we are not able to create the resource group region issues. I'm like, how? And they are really older than me. I'm not saying